As far as things you're gonna need.
Bright and early on a cold Thursday morning in Carson City, we prepare for our 1,000-mile journey to Chico, Sonora, Mexico.
Clear skies and we have tailwinds.
As we scrape ice off of the plane, already at work.
Yes, even the camera woman has to work.
It's hard to imagine we'll be in 80-degree weather in just a matter of hours. There are 9 of us on this trip, 3 pilots, 2 translators including myself, an optometrist, 2 nurses, and a registered hand therapist. Most of us complete strangers, crammed into a small space for up to 3 hours at a time. I have a strong feeling we'll get to know each other well over the next 4 days. 3 hours later, we start our descent into the small rural town of Chico. We get our first glimpse of the town, nervous, not knowing what we're flying into. As we circle the village, a bright white building starts to take shape in the center of town, a church, which we would later learn is the backbone and pride and joy of the people.
¿Qué tipo de aeronave? Pi 30.
We're greeted by members of the Mexican Army, also known as federales, heavily armed. I talk with the police chief to find out where we go next and learn he is our go-to guy. So we load up our gear and ride into town. I was prepared to live the next 4 days with the bare essentials, not even a shower. But we were all pleasantly surprised by our gracious host, Norma.
They're gonna put us on our bed, and then they're gonna leave the TV there.
Who had a warm bed for each of us, hot water, and home-cooked meals. We set up the optometry clinic in City Hall.
Do they have sheets for each patient?
In the Women's Health Clinic across town in a small but well-kept health facility. Town leaders tell us they've spent the week announcing the arrival of the flying doctors and already have a long list of patients anxious to see us. As we ease into our first night in the village, the sound of church songs and prayers carry through the quiet valley nestled up against the Sierra. We're 1,000 miles from home with no cell phone service, yet I feel safe and welcomed here. Our first impressions already exceeding anything we could have imagined. It's 7 a.m. in the rural Mexican town of Chico, 6 a.m. in Reno. A bit groggy, we make our way to the clinics to ensure everything is in order when doors open at 8. I'm in charge of signing people in and doing the initial screening. I ask for a history of diabetes or high blood pressure and test their vision. I jot down any pain or discomfort in their eyes and assign each person a number. I watch as they restlessly check their position in line.
Oh, wow. Look at those. Those are outrageous.
Meanwhile, the pilots help fit the patients with their new pair of glasses. And Denise Bonus is translating inside a dimly lit room for Summer Lyons, the optometrist.
I have to say it was a little bit stressful with my somewhat broken Spanish language to be able to get to the bottom of what was troubling that person about their eyesight.
The waiting room seems smaller by the minute. I'm so busy talking with the people I don't even have time to film. Thankfully, pilots Kevin Buman and Rob Lober grab the camera and shoot great video.
I'm actually not able to see behind that cataract because it's so dense.
In some cases, the diagnosis is complex, requiring much more than just a pair of reading glasses.
And every now and then I will see more sinister things in people that I necessarily can't fix just by, in a 2-day clinic. So those, I take those back with me and think about them and wonder, if they're going to be able to get the treatment.
Sí puede ver los colores, pero para leer o ver las cosas. One of those unforgettable cases is this 4-year-old boy. On one of his eyes, he has only half a pupil. Dr. Lyons has never seen anything like this in her career and promises to mail him a special pair of sunglasses to protect his vision. It's almost 4 o'clock and we still have close to 100 people waiting in line. The clinic closes in an hour. I'm forced to ask people to come back the next morning. So this is day 2 of the clinic. The people here you see in the waiting room have been here since yesterday afternoon waiting to see the optometrist. The closest specialist to this town is a 6-hour bus ride away. Across town in the women's clinic, it's much quieter. They've only seen 10 patients total. We learned there was a recent campaign promoting women's health, inviting a local gynecologist to do annual exams.
I found most women who were in need of mammograms had within the last year a mammogram. So that means many of them had to travel 6 to 8 hours to have a mammogram done.
At the optometry clinic, we're working as efficiently as possible to avoid turning anyone away, and we succeed.
They put on a pair of glasses and they pick up, you know, something to read or to look into the distance, and their face just lights up. And I don't speak Spanish, but you know, you don't need to understand what they're saying to understand that you've really made a big difference.
With my chicken Spanish, I had said to the woman in Spanish, "Quién es su padre ahora?" which would translate to me as, "Who's your daddy now?" She was so thrilled to get a pair of glasses.
Having spent 2 days with the people of Nacorichico with the flying doctors, there is one point I'd like to stress. Nacorichico is not an impoverished town. Yes, it has much less than what we're used to in the United States, but it's a beautiful, clean village, rich in joy and pride. It just happens to be hours away from health specialists. I think we all went on this trip focusing on giving and doing good, not really expecting to take anything back with us. Even after handing out 150 pairs of glasses, it's the people of Nacorichico who have helped us see more clearly, giving us a new, grounded perspective. It's our last night in the remote Mexican town of Nacorichico, and this family has prepared a special feast for us with a delicious homemade sauce made of crushed chiltepines, a fiery pea-sized chile only the brave will taste.
I've traveled all over the world, and very rarely do you get the ability to go into someone's house and eat dinner with them and have them pull out their special canned goods that they've been saving.
Gracias.
Gracias.
The next morning, it's time to pack up and say goodbye. We've known the people of Nacorichico for only 3 short days, but feel as if we're leaving family. As I reflect on the flight back to Carson City, I feel the same way about the volunteers on this trip. A newfound family of selfless people giving up 4 days of their lives to do good. Summer Lyons, the optometrist, went on the trip despite the fact that she's opening her own eye clinic in Minden in less than a month, and her 1-year-old girl is fighting a cold for the very first time.
I still think it's important for me to, like I said, keep that perspective so that I can pass that on to her too. I think it would be great once she gets to be a few years older to take her and say, you know, this is what you're used to, but there are all these other people that are not that different from you that live differently.
For Rob Lober, chief pilot of the Flying Doctors, this marks his 32nd volunteer trip to Mexico.
You get a lot more out of it than you put into it, and for me that still holds true.
It's not easy to give up 4 days of your life, and we appreciate that. We as volunteers and translators and medical persons, we do maybe 1 trip a year, but there are people that go down once a month to provide these services.
This is the first trip with the Flying Doctors for registered nurse Jackie Griffin and this father-son duo who have been flying together for more than 16 years.
Really shared some great times and great trips, and we'll remember this one for a long time.
This is trip number 2 for Denise Bonus and Florence Minko.
I really was looking for something new to adventure out, and I love to travel and to help people.
In our busy lives, it isn't often we stop and wonder how our neighbor is doing, let alone someone who lives in another country. In neglecting to do so, I think we succumb to stereotypes and overlook the values that unite us. I don't think any one of us will ever forget that special meal in Nacorichico, where we discovered just how similar we all are.
You know, we all want good things for our children. We want to be healthy.
It's more than just coming down here and helping people. It's a cultural exchange, and I wish more people in the United States could have a chance to come down to Mexico. I think there's just a lot of things we could learn from these people.
Ironically, the people of Nacorichico and the volunteers taught me that it shouldn't have to take going on a journey like this to appreciate how truly wealthy we are, in love and in health.